Good morning, Pioneers, and welcome to The Grid. We are excited to be back here with you for another sports update. My name is Jake Barnhart.
And my name is Bobby Drexel.
And my name is Kayla Delmore. Today we will recap all the sports from this past week and talk about March Madness.
Boys volleyball is the only spring sport to start regular season action. The boys dropped their first two games to Berlin and Thomas Worthington and then bounced back and beat Westerville Central in 4 sets at home. Last night they hosted Tangy and lost in 4 sets. Tonight they will travel to Kilbourne at 7 p.m.
Girls lacrosse will begin their season tonight as they travel to Berlin at 7 p.m. Then they will turn around tomorrow and host Big Walnut at 2:30 p.m. So now that we have all talked about orange sports, let's get into some March Madness. Kayla, Bobby, how are you guys' brackets going?
Mine's actually not looking too hot. Yesterday, one of the first games of the day was Furman and Virginia, and that was a big bracket buster for me. I had Virginia in the round of 32, but that game was just crazy.
I'm not going to try and brag right now, but I picked Furman to win that game, and I just already know Kayla didn't pick that because why would she? That was a great upset pick for me, and her bracket's not looking too good. Kayla, would you like to explain your bracket struggles?
Well, my bracket is better than Bobby's, so we can start off with that. I've never heard of Furman before, so I didn't think that they would beat Virginia. Also, I had Arizona to the Elite Eight, and they lost, so very unfortunate for me. I got 10 games right, though, so.
Yeah, so I also had Arizona going to my Elite Eight, but that was the only game I got wrong yesterday. Everything else I got right, including Penn State. A lot of people were high on Texas A&M coming into that for some reason, and Penn State just blew the doors off them last night. They won by 20, so that was really nice for me. That was a 10 seed over a 7 seed, so that was a little upset, I guess.
Yeah, I don't understand the hype between Texas A&M over Penn State. These last couple games for Penn State, they've been on fire. Being like a 10 seed in the Big Ten tournament and then making a run all the way to the title, it proves really why they should be in this tournament. And then being able to come out and beat Texas A&M is a big win. I think they'll pose a huge struggle for Texas here next week.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that there's a Big Ten team. Big Ten teams typically have been struggling in the March Madness tournament. The first game of the day was West Virginia, Maryland. That was a just awful game to watch. It was just a defensive battle. Maryland was able to pull it out, but the Big Ten teams have always had their problems choking, especially Purdue. Like last year against St. Peter's, and this year they're projected to get upset before the Final Four. Just that Big Ten, people don't really like to get around that, pick them to go far.
Yeah, I think Zach Edey is really a game changer though for Purdue. I have them losing to Memphis, and only because Memphis's pace of tempo on offense is through the roof. They were able to go out in the Big 12 title or the AAC title and take down Houston, which was a huge win for them.
Yes.
And I think that they'll be able to take that momentum into Purdue, and even with Zach Edey, I think they'll be able to take it down. But then touching back on the Big Ten, Illinois and Iowa were the only two teams from the Big Ten to lose yesterday, and Northwestern was able to pull one out against Boise State in a close one, and then you also got Penn State winning and Maryland taking down West Virginia after being down 14 early in the first half.
Yeah, I picked West Virginia to win, and they were up 14 at the beginning, so I was really hopeful, and then my dreams were crushed.
Yeah, I also had Duke winning yesterday. A lot of people were high on Oral Roberts to maybe upset them again, but that start of the game was just really tough for them. They went down 18-0 at one point with 10 minutes left in the first half. I didn't think they were going to score at all at first to start the game. Duke looked really good. They looked like the Duke that we normally know. And then we don't really know Duke's now true identity without Coach K, and they came out there and they just did what they should, and they blew out Oral Roberts. So that was a nice win for Duke last night.
Yeah, I picked Oral Roberts to win that game, and I had him going to the Sweet 16 as well. I thought with 2 years ago when they made that run, their star player Max Asmus, he led the nation in scoring. I thought that he'd be able to come out and almost single-handedly take down Duke. If Duke's off, they're off, but if they're on, they're one of the best teams in the nation. But I really thought Oral Roberts would have been able to get the job done. But since they weren't able to, I see Duke making a Final Four run here.
Yeah, they could do that. And also, last night, Tennessee played Louisiana, and they barely squeaked out a win against Louisiana. Tennessee only won by 3 points. I didn't watch the game. Did any of you guys watch the game, see anything from there?
I did not watch the game at all. I kind of only watched it when I was at school. But another close game was the Houston game. I have them winning my whole bracket, and they barely won that game.
Yeah, that was a battle. I stayed up to watch that game, and they definitely struggled against Northern Kentucky. But Northern Kentucky kind of reminds me a lot of that Oral Roberts team when they beat Ohio State. They just put up a ton of threes. They shot, I think, 25 threes in the second half of that game. That was a tough first game, I think, for Houston. And once they started hitting shots, they looked like a true 1 seed, but I think they still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and one of their best players even went down with an injury there. So Marcus Sasser, I mean, he's one of the best point guards in the nation. They run a lethal backcourt at Houston, but I wonder how they're going to be able to function without one of their best players at the helm.
Bama also had one of their players go down with an injury, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they still won by 21, but definitely something to look out for as they will play Maryland next round.
Yeah, San Diego State also survived an upset yesterday from Charleston. I know a lot of people on social media were really high on Charleston. And San Diego State, they didn't look too great. They had a ton of turnovers. I think they had 20 turnovers in the game. They got a lot of work to do. They honestly, I think, have their hands full with Furman. I think Furman's a great shooting team. They spread the floor really well, and then obviously coming off that big win against Virginia, they're going to have some troubles handling Furman. Yeah,
and even touching on that Charleston team, I had them going to the Sweet 16. I really thought with a 31-3 record, they got an unlucky draw being a 12 seed. I think they should have been higher. They lost by 1 point to Drexel. They lost by 4 points to Hofstra, which was a 2 seed in the NIT. Mm-hmm. And then they played UNC when UNC was ranked number 1 in the nation and ended up losing by 16.
Right.
Which I really thought Charleston would have been able to make a run here, but they didn't shoot too hot to starting the game.
Yeah.
And San Diego State was able to take them down late.
So who's our first games of the day to start?
Michigan State and USC will be playing, and then I don't know who follows. I know Michigan State, USC's on at 12:15.
Kennesaw State and Xavier also play at 12:40, and then UC Santa Barbara plays Baylor at 1:30. So what are those thoughts?
Yeah, all I know, USC's going to win.
You're crazy.
I think USC's going to win. Michigan State really struggled against Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament, and they end up losing to Ohio State by 15. And Ohio State, as everyone knows, was not that good this year. They struggled a lot. They didn't even have Zedke or Bryce Sensabaugh when Ohio State beat them in the tournament. So for them to go into March Madness with that loss still in their mind, I don't know. I don't see them doing too well against USC. And then I have Xavier beating Kennesaw State today, and then I also have Baylor winning today as well.
Yeah, I have Xavier and Baylor winning. I'm pretty sure I chose Michigan State to beat USC, but definitely a good game to watch. I know it's just down at Nationwide near us, so interesting to see how many people actually go to that game. But then we also got VCU and St. Mary's, and then Vermont Marquette to follow. So thoughts on that game?
So actually VCU St. Mary's, I've got St. Mary's to win that game, and then I think they'll play Connecticut there in the round of 32, and I think the winner of that game has a really good shot at going to the Final Four in Arlington or in Houston.
Yeah, I have VCU winning that game as well. Marquette-wise, I have Marquette winning the whole thing.
Wow.
Yes, I have Marquette winning the whole thing. I was really impressed with them when they played in their conference tournament, and they really, really just blew out Xavier, and they were blowing out a lot of people. They look really good. They play really high-intensity offense, and they have a good defense. I think that they're going to be extremely good throughout the postseason or throughout March Madness.
So
definitely going to be Kentucky. I think if Kentucky can get to where I think Marquette will be, I think they're going to just run right through them. I don't think Kentucky can really handle their high-powered offense.
So I know that this game isn't until later tonight, but you look at Arizona State and TCU. Arizona State looks like a Final Four team the way they played in their playing game. I mean, they scored 90 points on.
Yeah.
I don't remember who they played, but they are looking really, really good right now, and I think they're a lethal team that can make a run.
Yeah, they're streaky. That was a good game to watch, but did you say TCU? TCU played really well, I thought, in the regular season. The Big 12 conference as a whole played extremely well. So, there were probably, I think there were 6 teams above 500, and I think there's maybe 7 or 8 in the March Madness tournament. So I think they have a lot of March Madness experience already in playing those intense games, lots of things on the line for them. But I think TCU can still beat Arizona State going into this.
I could see that. Let's travel to the Midwest here. There's a game at 9:55. Indiana takes on Kent State. What are your thoughts on that game? I've got Kent State actually going to the Sweet 16, and I think if they show up, they could pull off an upset against Houston.
I'm the complete opposite. I have Indiana going to the Sweet 16 and then losing to Houston.
Me too.
I just have a hard time getting around Kent State being able to guard Trace Jackson Davis. He's one of the best players in the Big Ten, behind Zach Edey mainly. And I think that just Kent State is going to have their hands completely full with Indiana, and then they also have good guard play, Indiana. They're a solid team. Kent State, I'm not saying Kent State's not good. I think Kent State's extremely good, and they're a good upset pick, but I still think they have enough manpower to handle Trace Jackson Davis.
Yeah, I could see that, but Kent State, they're one of the best teams in the MAC. They average nearly 90 points a game, and I really think that if Trace Jackson Davis is off, then Indiana will be thrown off, and their mojo, they'll just lose it, and I think Kent State will be able to capitalize on that. But go ahead.
So who do you have playing Miami or Drake versus the winner of Indiana-Kent State? Who do you have moving on to play them in the next round?
I have Drake beating Miami.
I have Miami. I thought Miami looked good in the ACC this year. I don't think that Drake's going to be able to hang with them.
I also have Miami. It seems like Bobby's going for both upsets, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you got a lot of upsets this year, Bobby.
Drake is a really good team, and they've flown under a lot of people's radars this year, not being a really big team, but they were able to, their shooting percentage this year was through the roof, and I understand Miami was co-ACC champs, but Drake, I really think that they're going to be able to pull out a close one here, and I think they'll be able to win and then take on Kent State in the round of 32.
So are there any other upsets you guys have looking at the next upcoming games throughout the day? I know UConn plays Iona. Not sure who you guys picked to win that game.
I got UConn.
I picked UConn as well.
Yeah, I picked UConn as well. Okay. I think UConn could really make a Final Four run. They looked elite at the beginning of the year, and a little bit of a cold patch, but it's March and anything could happen. I think UConn's got a good shot.
I think they look good. I have them going to the Elite Eight and then eventually losing to Kansas. Kansas looked phenomenal in the second half of their game yesterday, and they scored 96 points. They definitely looked like they could possibly repeat. I mean, champions last year. They looked great in the second half. They struggled a little bit against Howard at first, but 96 points for a college game, always impressive. That's something to look out for. But I definitely have UConn going far, though. I think they're going to make some noise.
Everything else I have is the favorite to win, but I think that Pittsburgh-Iowa State game is intriguing just because the way Pittsburgh played in their playing game. I think that they're going to give Iowa State a good fight. I really think Pitt's a great team, but I think Iowa State's going to edge this one out on them. Yeah,
I also have Iowa State winning that game as well, and I have them going as far as the Elite Eight. I think that with their shooting, they can really make noise in the tournament. My biggest things for the games are how good you are at free throws, how well you keep the ball, and your three-point shooting. I think those are basically what decide almost every other game in the tournament. Sometimes mid-range shooting in there as well, but Iowa State has shooters all over the court. I think that when they play Xavier, or if they can win and beat Pitt, and then possibly meet Xavier in the next round, I think that they can definitely beat Xavier just with the high-powered offense, and they put up a lot of threes.
Yeah, just like you said, it's really intriguing because obviously tons of upsets yesterday really came down to who ended with the ball, who was able to make the plays at the end of the game, but also free throws. They matter.
Yes.
They matter more than anything. You miss them in the first quarter, they're going to come back and bite you later
Furman,
on in the fourth.
Especially. Furman is the definition of the free throws. I mean, their big guy, he made 2 free throws. He was a 50% free throw shooter at the line, and he made both of his free throws. Cut it to 2, then got the steal, got the assist for the game winner. Free throws are so important in March.
So we've been talking a lot about the round of 64 and upsets. Let's go to the Final Four. Who do you guys have in your Final Four?
I have Bama playing Marquette. On the other side, I have Houston, UCLA. It seems basic. I wish I didn't go with Houston. I think they'll get upset eventually. But I think that those are going to be the 4 teams in there. And then, I guess a little generic going 1-2, 1-2. But that's how I have it. And then I have Marquette playing UCLA in the championship game. And then Marquette coming out on top.
So if you could repick instead of Houston, who would you take from that Midwest region?
Honestly, I think I'd rather take Indiana or Texas.
Okay. My Final Four.
I also have UCLA and Houston in my semi, and I have Houston winning. Well, obviously winning because I haven't winning at all. And then I have Bama and Purdue. I don't know about Purdue. I kind of filled this bracket out really last minute, and I know they were good in Big Ten play and were ranked.
Purdue's bound to get upset.
Yeah, that's what everyone keeps saying, but I'm pretty confident in most of my Final Four. And then I have Houston versus Bama, and Houston winning 86-81.
So then going to my Final Four, I have the same thing as Jake on the right side. I've got Houston taking on UCLA, and I agree with him. I really don't think Houston, the way they played yesterday, I don't think they have the power to continue what they've done all year and get to the Final Four. If I could repick, I'd probably take Penn State to the Final Four. I think they're a really lethal team.
Penn State.
And then my Final Four, on the other side, I've got Alabama taking on Michigan State.
Oh.
I think Michigan State's backcourt is one of the best in the tournament, and I don't think that anybody will be able to slow them down, especially with that lethal shooter, Joey Hauser. I think they'll be able to kick out, get him to the corner. And Tom Izzo in March is a whole different animal. I think he's going to coach his team here to a Final Four appearance. However, I have them losing to Alabama and then UCLA taking down Houston. I have UCLA as my national champion. I think they are the best team in this bracket, and Jaime Jaquez is the best player in the nation as of right now.
Yeah, he looked really good last night, and UCLA as a whole looked really good. I really like Tiger Campbell, the point guard for UCLA. He's a good three-point shooter. He's a good facilitator, and he just drops dimes for UCLA. He's just a really good floor facilitator for them. He's like a glue guy. When he's not on the court, I think they kind of lose their identity a little bit, and they can't keep the ball as well. But when he's on there, I think they're extremely good. They're a Final Four team. And one thing I wanted to go to with your pick with Purdue, I think it's just so interesting with how teams are now starting to guard Zach Edey. How they're just kind of just letting him get in the paint and score. No one's even taking a foul. They're just going to let him score 30 points a game, maybe even 40, and to see if they can win. Just let all the other guys beat them. Just let Zach Edey do his thing. I think it's fascinating, honestly. And if FDU can pull that off today and just let Edey do his thing and then hit threes, anything can happen, really.
Yeah, I saw a video of Twitter of the FDU coach saying that he is fully confident in his team being able to beat Purdue. So definitely will be an interesting game. Again, 1 versus 16 seed. So speaking of 16 seed, if there was a team to go extremely far, that's a lower seed, who do you think is the dark horse in this tournament so far?
For like a low seed?
Yeah, like the lowest
Princeton.
seed. The lowest seed you think
Really?
that could make it all the way?
Princeton.
You think we're going to be able to take down Missouri?
Possibly. I mean, Missouri's not they're not anything like crazy. They have a few good players. They have Kobe Davis on their team, number 24, and he looked really good yesterday, and he scored 20-plus points. But Princeton puts up so many threes. If they're hot, there's no stopping them, you know? Anything can happen.
I've got my money on Kent State here. I think they'll be able to make a massive run.
Really?
I really do. I think that their ceiling is probably the Sweet 16, Elite 8. I don't know if they're going to be able to take down Houston, but I really think that they can make a deep run.
All right, that's all we have for you today, Pioneers. Thank you for tuning into The Grit. I'm Jake Barnhart.
I'm Bobby Drexel.
And I'm Kayla Delmore, and we can't wait to see you next week.
What was going on behind...